Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I am the Y2K collector and I'm back. I have a video here that I want to go through with you. And during this video, I'm going to be talking about some reasons why my video game collecting journey could be coming to an end here real soon. And just wanted to go over some of those reasons. I know that video game collecting has been a hot topic, not just for lifelong members of the gaming community, but there's been an increase in fandom around video game collecting. A lot more people who weren't into video games as much before are into video games now. And then we have a ton of media, right, circulating around video games and retro games. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that, and then as well share some more end of summer pickups. You know, I'm going to be including these end of summer pickups in most of my videos until pretty much all my pre-orders are fulfilled. And I've got some good ones here that I'd figure I'd share with you. But I want to get to talking about some of these reasons why my gaming collection or my game collecting will most likely come to an end here soon. And the first and probably biggest reason is that I've pretty much collected everything that I want. Now, there are games that will be coming out for the Nintendo Switch. Some of them have dates, some of them don't, that I do have my eye on. But for the most part, I think I've purchased every Switch game that I really want. If you follow the channel, you know that I'm really into action games. I love my side-scrolling games, my action platformers, my beat-em-ups. I even like fighting games. I love my hack and slash. I love my 3D open world adventure games. Anything with some action, anything with a good story, that's what I'm into. And no matter what the console, that's typically what I'll try and collect for. Every once in a while, I'll get like a quirky game, something that's uncommon, something that you don't see too often. But for the most part, that's what my collection centers around. And again, if you follow the channel, you'll know that I only collect for a few systems, being the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Dreamcast, and then the Nintendo Switch. I do have a few games for the Nintendo Wii that I got. You know, there weren't a lot of games on the Wii that I wanted. I have an Xbox One, but I don't really buy any Xbox games. Please don't kill me, Xbox community. I know there are a lot of diehard Xbox fans out there, but I don't really have a lot of games for that system. And then I've got gotta have a Super Nintendo. So I do have a Super Nintendo. Don't have a lot of games for my Super Nintendo, maybe about 4 or 5. And then I have a Sega Genesis, and I only have one game for my Sega Genesis, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, you know, you gotta have that. And then you have the handhelds that I have, right? So I've got the PSP, the PS Vita, which I have pretty large libraries for both of those handhelds. I would say upwards of, 60, 70 games on both of those. And then I've got the Sega Nomad, as well as the Neo Geo Pocket, which I've only got a few games for. And then I have a Game Boy, which I also have a few games for. So I don't have a ton of systems. I don't collect for the Nintendo. I don't collect for the Super Nintendo. And now I'm talking about games. I don't collect for the Sega Genesis. I don't collect for the Xbox or the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 or PS5. All of those consoles are great. But one of the things that I realized is that, with a lot of these consoles and with a lot of these games, in a lot of cases, you're not even really like buying the game. You're buying like access to the basics of the game, and then you have all this downloadable content that you have to add on to get the full experience. And what I realized is that, that really started kicking off around the time of the PlayStation 3. There are a ton of PlayStation 2 games that are just packed to capacity with a ton of content, a ton of great gameplay. I mean, once you start diving into some of these RPGs, you just realize how large and expansive some of these games are without any of the DLC. And sometimes not having that online capability is great, because it allows you to just kind of get into your own zone for your video game. So for me and the systems that I collect for, I've pretty much purchased all the games that I want for the PSP, the PS Vita, the Sega Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, PS1, and PS2. I've pretty much gotten all the games that I want for those systems. There might be a few out there that are like really expensive and I'm not going to pay the price for, but I'm pretty much done with those. And then in terms of modern consoles that I want to collect for, I really only want to kind of collect for the Switch at this point, just because it works well for me and for my life. I am on the go a lot, and I don't really think I'd find myself sitting down to play a PlayStation 5 game or an Xbox game. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I love my handhelds. I love the Vita, love the PSP, love my Game Boy. I just wish it had a backlit screen. I wish when it was originally built it had a backlit screen. I'm really not into modding the handhelds, but I'm jabbering and I'm blabbering, and you're going to get some of that in this video just because I'm sharing my thoughts, and I'd love to get some of yours down below as well. But that is the first reason why I think my game collecting is going to come to an end, just pretty much because I've gotten pretty much all the games that I want. The second reason why I'm pretty sure I'm done collecting is because of the prices, right? So thanks to media, thanks to the recent $1 million sale of a Super Mario 64, it seems like the prices are like a runaway train. And there were a bunch of games that, I figured towards the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, I figured, okay, once the hype goes down, I'll be able to get some of these games for a little cheaper. And I'm not talking about $100 games. I'm talking about games that may have been going for 20, 25 bucks that I thought, wow, that's a lot for that game. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'll give it a bit. It'll go back down to 10, 8 to 10 bucks. But no, a lot of these games that were 15 and 10 bucks a year or two ago are now 25 and 30 bucks, are now 35 and 40 bucks. And it's just going up and up and up. And I think when it comes to the physical games, I mean, these are a limited commodity, right? They're a limited thing. There are only so many games that were printed. And then there are only so many that are still in good shape, because we're talking about consoles that in some cases are 20 years old, 15 years old. And so a lot of the games just get lost, broken, destroyed. And so I can understand, where, especially with certain rare games that originally, only had a limited print run to begin with, I could see why some of those games are going up. But it's the cream of the crop that's causing the whole market to rise. And so we're just starting to see some of these prices just get out of hand. And, for me, I love the hobby. For me, this is a hobby. I find it fun playing these games. I find it fun learning about the games, learning about the development. One of the things that I enjoy the most about video gaming is the music. I don't care what you say. Some of the best music you will ever hear is in some of these video games. And I'm surprised that more actual recording artists don't sample some of the video game sounds and some of the video game music. But yeah, reason number two, definitely the pricing. I don't want to, or I'm not going to pay certain prices for certain games. And so that to me is going to be another reason why my collecting is going to really crawl. It's really going to slow all the way down to a very, very slow crawl, where I'll only be picking up the select few games that I really want to add to my collection, games that bring value to me and games that I'll enjoy. So pricing is number two. The third reason why my collection will be grinding to a halt is space, right? So I am not one of those people who wants to have boxes and boxes and shelves filled with games all over the place. I think it's cool if, for those who have a game room, I think that's awesome. If you've been able to create a little safe haven for yourself and a place where you can kind of just go and bask in your video games, that's awesome. But that's not really how I live my life. I love video games, but my life does not revolve around them. And so I really don't want to dedicate any more space in my home to storing video games. And that's also one of the biggest reasons why I decided to not collect for systems like the Sega Genesis, the NES, the Super Nintendo, because cartridges just take up so much more space. You know, disc-based games, whether they be PlayStation, Dreamcast, PS2, those, you know, the boxes have a very small, slim form factor, and you can stuff, I mean, I have nearly, 600 games just on one bookshelf. And now if these were NES games or Super Nintendo games, I would probably need a lot more space. I wouldn't be able to cram them in. And so space is definitely a huge contributing factor when it comes to wanting to slow down my collection. And even as of recently, I've actually had to go through and get rid of a lot of shovelware, get rid of a lot of games that I may have either beaten or I've played but told myself I'm not interested in this game enough to actually try and beat it. So I went ahead and traded it away to get one or two games that I'm very much interested in. And so these would be my top 3 reasons why my game collecting is probably going to screech to a halt here real soon. And there are a bunch of other reasons. Right, real life is going on. We're now dealing with a second crisis here in our country where we're trying to, figure out how we're going to make it through this winter season with this, this thing that's out there that I don't really want to say, but we know is out there. And it's making a lot of folks sick, and we definitely want to just kind of buckle down and get ready for this winter. I am happy, though, for the games that I do have, and I think I'm going to have a ton of fun this winter, just enjoying some of these pickups and kind of getting to dive into some of these games. But I don't think I need any more games for the consoles that I have, and so my collection is going to be slowing down. And so in that same vein today, I don't have many end of summer pickups. I just want to share 3 with you, 3 pickups that I've got. These pickups to me are great. I'm really excited to add these games to my collection because they fall right in line with what I'm about gaming wise. And so I'm going to kick this off with the first game. And the first game that I've got here is Ape Out. And Ape Out was a digital only game for a while. This came out by Devolver Digital. It was available on specialreserve.com, I think, for a while. Special Reserve Games had this game. And this is basically just like a top-down action game where you're an ape and you're trying to break out of like a zoo or like some type of holding facility. And you're basically just running through and smashing and bashing everyone in your way, and you're just trying to escape. And so you kind of see a little bit of what it's looking like there. And graphically, it's not like the most impressive game, but I think the big thing with this game is the gameplay. And from what I've seen with the gameplay, this seems like, with all the action, this seems like the type of game that's right up my alley. So Ape Out was a game that I wanted to get. I'm glad I was able to get my hands on this one. I think there were only 2,000 copies or 3,000 copies made. But hey, listen, if you can't get your hands on a physical, you can definitely download it and enjoy the game. So Ape Out, that was one that I was waiting for. Glad to get it. The second game that came in, and this was another pre-order that I got, is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. So I was excited when I saw this come in from Limited Run. I saw this come in from Limited Run, and I was pretty excited. Bloodstained, the first one, was a lot of fun. I played that, still haven't beaten it. But it is a fun game. And so I said, you know what, let me go ahead and get my hands on Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. And I think this is the classic edition. I do have just a regular copy, like a regular version. Have not downloaded, didn't get the download version on this. I did get the download version on the first Bloodstained because I just wanted to play it. But I was willing to wait. I didn't want to, pay for the digital when I knew the physical was coming. So very excited for when I get my standard copy to bust that open and get diving into some Bloodstained. So Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 by Limited Run, a very cool looking, fun looking, action platforming, Metroidvania style game. And for anyone who follows the channel, this is my bread and butter right here. So really digging that. And then last but not least, I'm taking it back for y'all. I'm going back retro, right? So we're going to go a little retro, not too retro now, but just a little retro. And this is a pickup that I wanted to get. Gungrave Overdose. Now this is part 2 of Gungrave. This is a kind of like a third person shooter action type game. This is fun. I've never played it, but you know, I did have a wish list. This was one of the games on my wish list. I had seen this, done a little bit of research, and I figured, you know, I want to go ahead and add Gungrave to my collection. And if you look to the top left hand of the screen, you'll see Gungrave Part 1 right there. And so I figured this would be a fun one to add. Excited to get into this and give it a shot and play it. And so, yeah, that does it for this week's end of summer pickups. Only 3 for you. But like I said, the game collecting is going to be slowing down. But that doesn't mean the conversation around video games has to slow down. So I'm very interested in knowing what games you plan on getting into this fall. The days are getting shorter. What are some of your end of summer pickups? And let me know, where do you see yourself in terms of game collecting in the future? Do you think you're going to continue to collect? Do you think game collecting is going to get harder as time goes by? Do you think it's going to get more and more difficult to find rare games? I'm very interested in your thoughts. And once again, thank you for tuning in. I am the Y2K Collector, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.